After losing yet again in a Grand Slam quarterfinal, Jessica Pegula wasn't in the best of moods after her match. But the highlight for the people at the press conference wasn't when she spoke about her loss, it was what she was sipping on while talking about it. A beer. If you want to know why she was drinking this at a press conference of all places, stick with us to find out. First up, Pegula drinks beer in press conference to ease the loss. This year's US Open has been pretty interesting, not just because of the really good matches or that it was Serena Williams' last one, but also because of all the scandalous incidents that have been happening side by side. For example, Novak Djokovic wasn't allowed to play in the competition because he hadn't vaccinated himself before it, so he was outed before he could even begin. And then Nick Kyrgios got yet another fine for spitting and swearing during the second round match against Benjamin Bonzi. He even argued with the umpire about smelling weed. And then, of course, 16-year-old Sarah Beljik's celebration with her father was kind of inappropriate. It looks like the US Open is going to be keeping us entertained now that US star Jessica Pegula decided to drink a beer along with her in her post-match press conference. Now, she did just lose a match, that to her third Grand Slam quarterfinal this year, so it's not too far off to assume that she wasn't really in the highest of spirits. But at the same time, it's not every day that we see athletes chugging beer at their press conferences. D'Arcy Maine of ESPN.com was the first one to mention the drink when she was saying that she was sorry for Pegula's loss, then stopped halfway through to add her sentence, "I like the Heineken." Pegula's response was really interesting. Although she said that it does help ease the loss, the major reason for her drinking the beer was that she was just trying to pee for doping. It's true, Pegula does have a drug test to take after getting kicked out of the tournament, so drinking a can of beer would definitely help. It looks like she managed to kill two birds with one stone. Next up, let's talk about Pegula's loss against Swiatek. Honestly, we can't really blame Pegula. Her loss on Wednesday was a particularly tough pill to swallow after going up an early break. Pegula started struggling with her serve and even dropping 4 straight games to lose the opening set in the end. She talked about this in the press conference too. Quote, "I've started missing everything for literally the rest of the set," she shared, saying it was definitely a huge momentum change for her in the game. Quote, "Next thing I knew, I lost the set 6-3, she added. Pegula and Swiatek actually exchanged breaks all throughout the second set, but with the score at 4 games each, Jessica looked as if she was ready to finally challenge the trend and maybe force a deciding third set. She battled back to take a 40-30 lead after falling behind 0-30, but Swiatek smashed a cross-court backhand winner to tie the score. That was when both luck and her serve decided to turn their backs on Pegula. She lost 7th point of the game because of a double fault, then went on to lose the final point too after 20 rallies ended up in Swiatek's forehand bouncing off the net and then dribbling weakly onto her side of the court. On the way back to the player bench, the 21-year-old Polish prodigy placed her palm up regrettably. Swiatek won in a tiebreak to take the set and, therefore, the match. This was Pegula's 3rd time that she lost in a Grand Slam quarterfinals this year. Coming up, how does Pegula feel about the loss? Looks like there's a curse on Jessica Pegula. Every time she gets into a Grand Slam quarterfinal match, she always ends up losing. After her 3rd defeat this year, it's safe to assume Pegula wasn't in the best of moods. This was a topic that they touched on in the press conference too after her match, where she shared her frustration over losing yet another quarterfinal match this year, saying that she keeps going back and forth in her emotions. She keeps telling herself to stay positive, but at the same time, she can't stop feeling let down after her 3rd quarterfinal defeat, which, in her words, it sucks. This US Open was particularly disappointing to her. Quote, "I wish I could have done it here in my home slam, but I guess not." Pegula shared at the press conference the US tennis star was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, so she had her sights set on the US Open title at her home slam. She's also really mad that she keeps on having to face either Iga Swiatek or Ashley Barty every time she gets to a quarterfinal, considering they hardly ever lose. It is true this is actually the 2nd time Pegula lost to Swiatek. Jessica Pegula will have time to enjoy more Heinekens while watching the Bills, who are owned by her father Terry, take on the Rams in the NFL season opener on Thursday. Moving on, what does Pegula's loss mean for the US Open? Now that Jessica Pegula lost to Swiatek, who is actually the #1 ranked women's player at Flushing Meadow, the Polish woman will be going on to face Anna Arina Sabalenka Thursday for a spot in the final. On the other side, Ons Jabeur of Tunisia and Caroline Garcia of France, the first African and Arab female tennis players to make it to the US Open semifinals, will face off in the Open semifinals. Jessica Pegula's defeat also means that there won't be any American women's singles champions this year. Now, moving on to other news, first up, Tunisia's Ons Jabeur becomes first Arab African woman to reach Grand Slam final in open era. Ons Jabeur, a Tunisian tennis player, became the first African and Arab woman to get to the Wimbledon final, cheering up an entire continent in London on Thursday. She's also the first Arab tennis player to reach a Grand Slam final. Jabeur advanced further this year after reaching the last 8 in 2021, another first for an Arab woman. The 27-year-old defeated Germany's Tatjana Maria in 1 hour, and 43 minutes to go to the women's finals. The Women's Tennis Association has her rated second in the world right now. Early on, Jabeur had the upper hand, but Maria was not about to give up without a fight. The German managed to save 3 break points in the opening game, but then dropped serve in the third and 7th games. Maria's long backhand is the opening set gave the victory to Jabeur. In the second set, Maria rallied and broke Jabeur to take a 3-1 lead, which she later won. However, the Tunisian comfortably won the third set 6-1 to go to the finale. On Saturday, Jabeur will compete against Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan, a Russian-born player who defeated Simona Halep in the other semifinal. Next up, Frances Tiafoe breaks down in tears and makes heartbreaking apology after US Open loss. After losing against Carlos Alcaraz in the US Open semifinal, Frances Tiafoe broke down in tears and said that his defeat really hurts. The gifted Spaniard proved to be too strong for the American, who had advanced to the last 4 of a Grand Slam for the first time in his career and lost in 4 sets at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Rafael Nadal was eliminated from the competition after Rafael Tiafoe, who had been supported by his local audience for the past 2 weeks, pulled off a shock victory after defeating Andrei Rublev in straight sets on Wednesday. He advanced to the semifinals, and in a 5-set thriller that lasted more than 4 hours, the big serving American who served up 15 aces battled Alcaraz all the way until falling short 7-6, 6, 3-6, 1-6, 7-6, 5, 3-6, then lost the opportunity to become the first American man since Andy Roddick in 2006 to get to the US Open final. Quote, "I gave everything I had," he shared in an on-court interview with ESPN. And finally, Gigi loves to do karaoke with Serena Williams. In a recent talk show, Gigi Hadid reveals she likes going out for karaoke with her close friend and tennis player Serena Williams. The supermodel shared how she spent her weekends having fun with her now retired sports pal on Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show, according to Daily Mail. Quote, "Karaoke mostly. Serena's a karaoke legend," she shared with Jimmy, also saying that she prefers singing to Disney songs like Lion King's I Just Can't Wait to Be King. The model also said that Serena's performance at the US Open had her really anxious and she took it, quote, "really personally." She said that whenever she goes to watch the match, she tries to send supportive messages to Serena. Gigi also promoted her cashmere apparel line, Guest in Residence, on the NBC talk show. That's a wrap for this video, my friends. Do you think Pegula might finally win a Grand Slam title one day? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.